welcome everybody to another evening of the ESL Pro League over in Europe. We have some phenomenal matches today, including this week's Hot Match of the Week. It's going to be really good stuff. I'm joined again. They ended the show yesterday. It is Sponge and it is Sadicus. How's everyone doing? Sponge, I know you told me a phenomenal story about a muffin earlier today.
Best muffin ever.
Ever.
Butterscotch.
You want to stick to that?
I do.
This is apparently a muffin where it's not just the muffin top was excellent. The whole
thing was good.
Bottom,
I had the same one
as
for dinner. Yeah,
we were talking about it before. We had like full breakdown of the muffin.
I wasn't talking to you about it.
You know how you eat? No, me and Mitch were.
Oh, okay.
You know how you eat the muffin top and you know like the rest of it's just gonna be dry. This had like some butterscotch, like caramel kind of. It was great.
This is the kind of
Tasted
god tier
like
analysis we brought you in for.
I'm surprised you didn't fly home after yesterday.
It tasted like cottage pudding.
Well, we were on top of you. You know, we were making you work for it yesterday.
Well, speaking of being on top, we can check out the standings from North America and see exactly who's on top over there because we are about 3 weeks into the season.
Canada's on top of North America, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, it's the worst loft party ever. Cloud9 is there up on top, 7-1 at the moment. SK is going to be following that up. Team Liquid still in the running, and so is Optic. Those are kind of the teams that you'd expect to be up there. Immortals as well with their recent good form. But
that looks normal.
Yeah, the Australians down at the bottom still. That definitely looks normal. CLG a little middle of the pack.
Well, last season they actually qualified but couldn't go to the finals, Jason. So, you know, it's unusual for the Renegades not to be performing well.
Yeah, well, I don't know about unusual, but we'll move along over to Europe where we do actually have a lot of unusual standings. Astralis down at 10th. You got to expect that'll surely change. G2 Esports, they got their first win of the season last night. They have 2 more games coming up today. And then obviously at the top, Heroic, they're in good form. Envy, Mouse Sports, Kinguin. That's the top 4. I don't think anyone would have predicted that.
Definitely not. These are the teams, if we stop the season right now, they would be at the finals, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know we've only very few matches in right now, but it's just crazy to see like so many upset wins across the board. Like Envy has had that massive game where Scream, he just went off against his old teammates at G2. Heroic, you know, they're getting those upset wins to put them out at 4-4. So it's a bit topsy-turvy right now.
Quick yes or no for the two of you before we went on the schedule. Is NIP making the playoffs, yes or no?
No.
All right, well, today's match is coming up. G2 is going to take on North. That is going to be the first 2 matches. Following that up is our hot match of the week. That's going to be Virtus.pro taking on Astralis. All 4 of these matches on just 2 maps, Inferno and Nuke. So the most recent 2 maps to come back into the pool, that's what we'll be looking forward to today. That is going to be some good stuff. You guys excited for that?
2 of my favorite maps.
Yeah, and actually the big news coming out, obviously, is Zonic is going to be playing tonight for Device.
Yeah, that like just came out very recently.
Yes, that's true, actually. His
hot match looking even hotter.
It is, man. Bionic Zonic. The thing is, so they, well, I think we have a tweet about it. I don't know if you want to bring it up now, but obviously Device tweeted out about his
We'll bring that up
condition.
later.
All right, fine then. All right, carry on, host. Do your thing.
Yeah. Well, later on, we'll be getting to what Matt was talking about. But for now, let's go hear from Mitch.
Yes, thank you very much, Moses. Before we jump into the games for today, though, I do want to remind everyone at home to keep track with what's going on our social media. Facebook.com/ESLCS and Twitter @ESLCS. The poll for today is related to our hot match of the week. Quite simply, who is going to win, Astralis or Virtus.pro? We've had that one before, but some things have changed, of course, since Katowice. We'd love to know what you think. And now with the ESL Pro League Season 5 finals coming up on June 3rd and 4th, you can join in and enjoy some fantastic CS gameplay at the Verizon Theatre in Dallas. Check out the ESL Pro League website for more details and how to get your hands on some tickets.
Counter-Strike is sharing incredible moments with us and will return to a memorable place. Get your tickets now at proleague.com/Dallas.
Yes, and that will be coming up later on, just at the end of the season.
Do you have fond memories from Dallas?
I do have fond memories from Dallas. I have a lot of fond memories from Dallas. Used to compete there back in the day in CPL. It was way long ago.
Do you ever meet Debbie?
Did I meet Debbie? I have met Debbie, actually.
Okay.
Good story. Thanks for that. Well, let's move along right into G2 because we have G2 versus North coming up. We saw them play yesterday. They went 1-1 on the day, but I think the big surprise, the big thing is just their first win of the day, which was big. So yeah, now we're going to have a tweet. This is up here from Smiths. You can see 1-1 tonight against Heroic. Lost on that overpass, and that was the incredible Yugi clutch, the spam through the planning boxes.
Anders is always so proud when things like that happen. He's like, well, I theory crafted it, so I came up with this. I am the god to Counter-Strike. But yeah, that basically turned that match, and young Yugi being very proficient with the AWP in Pro League so far. He's has some really good stats. I was checking them out earlier today. He's in quite a few of the top AWPing stat categories.
Yeah, and then we see one from NBK. Good start to both sides. Check, hold the good start. No check, win the important clutches, no check. So 2 for 3. That's not bad, is it, Matt?
You mean 1 for 3?
1 for 3.
Yeah, it was awful.
2 for 3 missing.
Yeah. No. You need a number of those things. Definitely, definitely the clutches. This one's on points.
Well, I can't say that, I think, but we could show it.
I can say it if you want.
No, it's all right. Still can't win the crucial clutch rounds. We drop over past 13-16. Frustrating, but got to be better. And they do. I think it's got to be, a load off their shoulders that they at least get their first win. No more goose egg.
It's interesting to see how they're approaching the game, right? Because so far at the moment, it's like they're going for this structure. They're going for a bit more strategical game plan. They actually look like they want to put pressure on certain parts of the maps to get reactions later on in the game. But in certain situations, they might be playing too scared. I want them to loosen up a little bit, take a relaxed route.
Yeah.
Or route.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. I mean, it would be awesome. I know yesterday you mentioned they need to find that middle ground. So
yes.
Maybe going hard in one direction, which they've always been deficient in, just to kind of get the hang of it, and then they'll find that comfortable middle ground. But they'll be taking on North today. So that is going to be, get some good stuff. At North just feels at the moment like they are just, despite all the names on that roster, they still seem to feel like a little bit underwhelming come some of the big matches. They lose the close ones at the moment. They haven't gotten over that hump the way that we saw Astralis eventually do it.
Yeah, I guess it's going to take time, right, Matt?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we saw obviously midsummer last year, late summer Epicenter, the win. That kind of put them on everybody's radar. They've been improving for a while. We know Cajun B brought a lot to them, but that's all days gone by at this point. They need to make that more consistent. There's undoubtedly an issue closing out. I think Katowice showed us that despite the fact that they did very well to get through the group of death, which was a very hard group, they got battered by Immortals, I have to say. And they didn't really look composed. They didn't know how to take the right duels. They weren't winning with individual skill, which is showing that they're off form, because with individual skill, they have Magisk and Config, who are two of the best.
They are an incredible duo. And then you add into that the increased individual level from MSL has been very impressive.
Yeah.
Chad, as a former England yourself, what do you attribute that to? Is that something that he's doing individually, or is that something having to do with feeling comfort within his team?
There's a bit of placebo from him changing the sense and having a good game. I think more so what's helped is the addition of AZ and having a load off his shoulders, right? There's no language barrier anymore. I know, from Norwegian to Danish isn't that bad. But in the sense of he has a more skilled player, I suppose, in AZ, and you can focus on your own game more a bit as an in-game leader, take a few more risks, do things you might not normally do, and that's why you're going to find yourself a few more frags. If you're too busy trying to stay alive in the mid-round, waiting for people to do their job so you can be the lieutenant, you're going to put yourself in a position that you might not be comfortable in. And I think MSL is one of those guys who makes really good, risky reads. Like, he'll walk through mid doors on Cobble as a T, assuming no one's there, where other players will jiggle peek, maybe throw a flash or whatever. And that kind of stuff from an in-game leader if it doesn't work and you put your team in a 4v5, that's what you'd normally blame your teammates for. In the situation of being an in-game leader, you kind of you can get away with that.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, we're gonna stick with you, Sponge, as an in-game leader, because I know you have something that you think we're gonna be expecting tonight on Nuke.
This is just a really good strategy on Nuke that they're doing late round. So if we bring it up right now, that you can see the guys from North just posturing in lobby or team main.
Really fast.
I've sped it up. Basically, they're waiting out the utility of the CTs, and then they do a late round. They do a late round top execute here. So you're going to see a smoke going into mini or annex, as we call it in Australia, and a Molotov behind the CT vent. Now, what's important is the lines that they run going into the site. So you see Config's going to run out below Nico here, and then Magix is instantly there for that trade. It pops out, takes him down, and the lines they run into the site is to open up the CT, so they have to face multiple angles. That Molotov used at Heaven stops the rotation coming in, and they're able to get the bomb site and win the round with ease. So when you have late round executes like that, which we don't normally see, it's good to have a clean idea of how you're going to exploit the angles the CTs are holding. So I like the fact that they've got that in their arsenal.
Yeah. See, Matt, it was all planned. That quick speed, that quick
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah, it did it intentionally. Me and Rush,
intentional.
we sat there for ages,
was a
just
joke,
working out how to
How
speed it
fast
up.
should we take this clip?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the decider. Good stuff.
He's a speed hacker.
Now, this is a map that North is very, very proficient on. This is a map we talk about being a very strong map for them. Against G2, does G2 here, do they have a fighting chance? Is this going to be a map that they're able to compete on?
I think this has to go the way of North. If they have any form left at all, this is the map that they they created a lot of the meta. Now, I don't think they're the best in the world. I don't think Astralis has surpassed them. I think NIP at times has shown weaknesses in their defense. They seem to have, as well, one of the only teams that still, for whatever some reason, has consistent issues getting a gap in the smoke towards Secret. That said, their rotations are really, really good. And their CT side is very dynamic, which is something that strings well for them.
This is something I don't want to see happen to North. G2 can counter-strat them right here and go, hey, we know Config plays aggressive on yard. We know the lines that Cajun likes to AWP. I think North should come out and play their game to begin with, or maybe have an aggressive move early on their CT side to catch G2 off guard, because they're going to come in with a counter-strat plan and expecting a certain type of gameplay, and then you're going to rock G2. What we're going to see from them is the complete unknown. We haven't seen this lineup on Nuke really, especially in big matches. We don't know how they're going to approach it or who's going to basically be doing what roles. So for G2, it's the unknown. For North, it's not getting counter-stratted.
Now, is this a G2 that we saw? Do you think coming into this, because yesterday you've mentioned they were doing some good things. They were starting to get a little bit more strategic. Is this in a G2 that we're going to see come out and rely heavily on guys like Shox, on guys like Apex to get the entries on a map like Nuke? Or is this something we're going to see a little bit more structure like we did last night?
With their T side, yeah, I think Shox is going to have a lot of freedom. If he can find his way into Warehouse outside or Secret, he's going to have some good mid-round decisions to find openings. It's just hard to brute force entries for a player like Apex. A top rush or a ramp rush is so difficult to do, right? So it's about getting Apex territory to then find the jewels. So I'm going to expect probably more from players like Kenny. To find opening kills with the AWP, and then Apex is going to have to follow up later in the round. He might find himself feeling a bit awkward early on.
Matt, if G2 lose this, I mean, they're going to be, what, 1-5, I believe it would be after this? Are they out of the running? At what point do we say, because you guys both said no, and I said, is NIP going to recover and make the playoffs?
Well, the thing is, NIP's form is consistent, and we've seen trends of it. It's not something that's new and it's going to be a switch that's turned, whereas G2 has that potential. They have the potential to just become the really good team. It's the fact that they're new, that the unknown, that from some point everyone expects this to be the buzzword super team, right? Like, so I didn't expect them to be fast out of the gate. By now, I would have expected them to be catching up to finding maps, to finding form. Now, Inferno is something that maybe they could throw a wrench into and be a little bit proficient on, given that they weren't at Katowice. They've had some time to work on things like that. They've watched some other teams play it as well, so they've got a good amount of information. But the threshold in this league is so close that when you have a slow start, it's very hard to recover from. So if they go down tonight, if they lose 2 tonight, I would say they're very likely out of the playoffs at this point.
That would be unimaginable, I think. Is that G2 team being gone? That'd be like a repeat with NIP gone as well.
I figured it would take 4 to 5 months for them to get up to speed, which would put us right to the end of the league. That's just the way Counter-Strike is right now.
That's a long lifetime, right? You have to look at the games that they've lost. They've lost to Envious, who I predicted that Envious would be no-hopers, right? And that G2 would just stomp all over them.
Well, that was the match where like Scream got like 50
he just went
kills,
nuts. Yeah, like you can't really bank on that happening, but you just look at skill for player, and you would never expect that to happen. And then you look at, they lost a map to Heroic last night that we saw. They did manage, they lost to Fnatic as well. So you don't expect them to pick up the win against Fnatic, but you expect them to pick up a map against Envious, if not 2, and you probably with Heroic as well. Even though Heroic have shown better form, just the teams looking at them on paper, you would expect G2 to be better. So they still have hard games, you know, they still have to play against the likes of Astralis, VP,
right.
Even like Na'Vi is throwing in some upsets.
No, you've bailed me out again because you have their schedule up here. So, I mean, after North, it gets much easier. They go down to Mouse Sports, they go down to Hellraisers, Kinguin, and then LDLC after that. So at least there's a chance here for them to pick up. I mean, is the thing about picking up speed in the middle portion of the season?
Well, they're going to have to, because he just switched the page to the rest of their games. Then they go Astralis, Virtus Pro, FaZe Clan to close out the year. Yeah. Which, if they lose tonight, they're going to have to win at least 4 of those games. I'm going to say it right now. So that midsection that looks easy, they better breeze through that and use it to build the team.
The problem for them and all the teams is when we do get to the end of the season and you have your harder matches and you've lost games that you shouldn't have lost earlier in the season, the pressure's on. And that's like when we see teams not making it to the playoffs, and that's when they get a bit disappointed.
Yeah, well, then that's usually when the tweets come out that say, you know, we'll be back a little bit stronger next time.
We'll start practice at 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's about that time we start practicing again. Time to try is what we usually say.
Nah, I'm busy playing rank. I can't make practice tonight. Sorry, guys.
No, that's North America.
Edgy. We're coming in on that hot.
Speaking of edgy,
do we have his soapbox?
Razor, my clippers, they're good.
My soapbox? I don't think we've brought that yet. We haven't got the props out.
Oh,
yeah.
We have props.
We'll get there eventually.
Do we have the black thing that Olaf high-fived?
Let's talk about Matt's haircut.
Matt,
so after the disaster last night, I decided I'll just...
So Sadicus here decides to go home and try and cut his own hair.
That's not what happened. I was trimming up my sideburns, got a little carried away. All right, it slipped.
So sideburns, Matt, sideburns don't go that high normally.
Well, I stopped here, but then I wasn't paying attention because I'm ADD.
Is that your sideburn?
What'd you call it?
I'm gonna have a sick fade tomorrow.
Yeah, he comes in. He's like, I'm just gonna go for the triangle fade. I don't know what that is. I think he kind of has to go for that now.
I think I might just go Henry G.
It's a forced haircut. If you go Henry G,
you can't pull that off. You
I
can't pull that
definitely
off.
can. Oh, that's bait. You just want me to do it now. You're right. I can't pull it off.
That's right. You're too smart.
Look, I'm already halfway there. They just got to finish up a little bit, and we're good. I should get a discounted rate. I've done half the work for them.
You should be thanking me. I got you a close-up today. Must be feeling mighty happy.
Don't really care.
Okay, let's move over. Let's get back on track, at least a little bit, back to North.
Sure.
Now, what's up with this team? Because even at the end of the year, they won Epicenter. Remember, they got all hyped. Everyone got so excited, and they spent the end of the year so many events. I think they traveled to like 7 of 8 events or something like that. They kind of crumbled a little bit, didn't perform up to expectations. This year, I mean, they've had some tough losses. They lose in the quarterfinals of the major, the semifinals of Vegas, and then the quarterfinals again of Katowice.
Yeah, quarterfinals is the toughest one because they got battered in the first game. Cajun especially was very slow to get started. I think he was like 0-15 at halftime. They made it kind of close toward the end. The scoreline was not indicative of the game, but then they had this great second map. They had a huge lead. Majisk puts in the best individual half of anyone in a major all of history. And then they crumble to Virtus Pro, who go on to make the finals. That was, for them, a really good chance in that tournament, and that's a bitter pill to swallow. The rest has kind of been downhill since then. Even though they made the semis in Vegas, they didn't look as convincing. They weren't quite the team that we thought they were. They didn't have the poise. They were just kind of hanging in there and playing average Counter-Strike. Then, of course, the quarterfinal at Katowice, that was very poor. The cash duels they were taking, they weren't even
Mortals, correct?
Yeah, so they did do well on their T side. To be fair, they made, I think it was 16-14. It was a surprising comeback, and you could say the same for Immortals. But their CT side, they weren't even having utility used against them. They weren't even using any themselves. MSL kept trying to take duels out toward Checker, or Toxic, excuse me, from Checker, and they just weren't finding any map control. And to me, it was really, really poor adaptation because they didn't do anything to change it. They called 2 timeouts and then went back to doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. All right, overall, I still think North are a top 6 team in the world.
Okay.
I think maybe they had a poor showing, but that's not indicative of the way that they actually approach the game. I think some of their players may have had some off moments, but I don't think you can count these guys out for being a top 6 team in the world.
I won't say I count them out. I just think they have to get back on form. That's all.
I definitely agree with that statement. I think
it was all the other ones he doesn't agree with.
It's fine, Chad. I'll cut your hair tonight. Don't worry.
I definitely think that Config and Magic's now with the addition of AZ, Cajun being solid, and MSL playing better, if these guys not get back on track, I don't think they're off track. If these guys are able to innovate a little bit more and maybe fix a few little mistakes that they have, they're going to be even more dangerous going forward. And I think they're definitely a tier 1 team who need to be feared.
I think both of our statements are true. I completely agree with all that. I just think as of right now, if you look back, it's not been good.
Well,
not
Matt
as good
trying
as it should
to
be.
find any way to make himself right in this kind of a situation.
I'm not wrong.
Just
He's not wrong either.
6 seconds
We
more live.
made future versus
predictions.
past
Do you want to
tense.
do predictions?
My prediction is...
You said 6 seconds, hurry up.
All right, you go.
I'm not making a prediction. Let's throw.
All right, yeah, well, there you go, Matt. You blew your chance. All right, well, we're going to head over to the
16-13
casters.
G2.
It is going to be Pansy and Uber.
Are we on yet? Oh,
It's
we're
one of
on.
those days. It's one of those days.
I tell you what, that family is probably more dysfunctional than the Osborns.
You reckon?
Yeah, that's some interesting moments from them, but it's Nuke. It's
Yeah.
Nuke, and sometimes a Nuke is dark and full of terrors, but North have got the better of it for the most part. G2,
Oh, you were playing
we
that,
haven't
weren't you?
seen them win this map against a top team. Okay, yeah, it's a different roster, fair enough. But we haven't really seen this team, this name succeed on this map since Oakland, actually. So we just
Yeah.
have very little info on G2 in general.
No, and G2's big story for me is how they're improving. Recently, they've taken time away. Of course, they weren't at IEM. They weren't at the events that people have been looking at. So they've had time to work. We saw it yesterday. Kept eyes towards it. We saw some pieces looking better, but still, it's an interesting idea as to what they've been up to. And I'm hoping maybe they have refined a little bit of their Nuke play here. I'm hoping we get to see a bit of that, see what they can bring. Because we know that North are one of those teams that come in with that full idea. They have a very, very well-scripted piece for their T side. So hopefully we get to see them bring that one to the forefront. Mollies and smokes certainly indicate that's going to be the case already. But yeah, G2, if you've got a great opportunity here. These teams like North are great to look into to, you know, quote-unquote anti-strat, and it looks like they've got a bit of an aggressive start from Shox. He's going walkabouts over towards outside.
One of the first teams to really start working Nuke when it was released at the qualifiers for ESL 1 Cologne last year. It was North. Back when they were Dignitas, but Shox is going to start this off nicely. It's a very cutely playing shot to the head of AZ, and Body's got a great position on Rafter there. It's 3 for 1 so far in kills, and Apex with a quick double to close things out. And North hardly leaving a scratch.
No, and you can see the confidence in Shox just walking outside. I'm pretty sure, I'm hopeful that G2 have put some work into this to read how North like to approach this map and catching so on so early is a massive benefit for Shox. That kind of just set up the whole piece for the rest of going, yeah, he's here, guys, you know what's coming, right? So you can just kind of bound off the back of it. North going straight back into the Tech 9, smokes galore. Could be that line of smoke towards outside, get down towards Secret. Plenty of options for them to run towards. And SMGs completely and utterly. And actually, Magic has made it down towards lower. So yeah, that's pretty, if anything, going to encourage the players who are going outside to get down off that line of smoke all the way down towards Secret. I'm wondering if there's anyone down there already. I don't think there is. Kenny S is already, he's stopped playing outside.
I think the closest is NBK in ramp room.
Yeah, Shox might be down there as well. I'm pretty sure he's going to be behind that kind of, he's in dark,
yeah, he's
right?
in dark.
So he could have some fun here. It depends if they check it. I'm hoping they do, but they don't have any utility to clear it. But they still have to plan, what we're going to do with that bomb. And that's in MSL's hand, so keep your eyes on that one. There you go, it's gone. MBK quickly got himself to a nice relevant position. Shox takes his time to finally pop out, nade in towards vents. Not going to hurt, but certainly shows that they can't go just walking in there.
Yeah, could have hurt just a bit more if Magisk hadn't stepped forward of it. But it's 3v2 right now. UMP's in hand for two of these G2 players, and KGB walks straight into it now. Magisk very low on HP. Has very little to work with as well. Bomb is across the map from him. So now it's all a matter of seeing if he can get something for this now. Picking up a couple of bits and pieces. MP7 in hand, but 40 seconds left. Going to be very, very tricky for North to orchestrate too much here. It was brought up by Sponge earlier on. We saw that nice little four-man pour out on towards upper, and they double face pushing out of hut. But again, you need a decent amount of arsenal to orchestrate something like that at all, Lauren. And NBK will put things to bed so far for North. So G2, a decent start. Nothing much really shown.
No, this is all just good for G2 as well. We know what this map can be like. It's incredibly punishing if you don't get the full utility behind you, especially the Molotovs, especially ways to deny North doing quick upper hits if they fancy going towards it. They know that North will have nothing this round, so it's free farm time, ideally. North shouldn't be able to take too much away. I think only Magisk, the only one to buy anything.
It's got to be an inner hit.
Yeah, it's do what you can, maybe just rush it. Just get over down, maybe get down vents if possible. Try and get bomb down. And it's probably not going to go too well. 8 bullets still, even with Apex, if he needs to follow up again after that. But yeah, this is what to expect. Not too surprising. Conflict's at least going to find one, but anything's good here.
I mean, for AC, with the way he pushed out there, it was already a foregone conclusion that he was trying to vent dive and he wasn't ready for the G2 player to be so close up to him. You see, even after opening the door and ostensibly seeing the G2 player there, he was firing at the vent first.
Straight up onto a double AWP. First, big gun round coming in. The other 3 sticking on SMGs, maybe? Okay, where are you going to take these? So you've got Shox and Kenny, maybe one going towards ramp.
Can you be assertive on outer here with one of these AWPs? There should be a wall of smoke for North here.
This is the thing. If it's Shox, he can do whatever he wants. He's going to have a quick look, see if anyone's going to be trying to come through towards the vent fast. No one is, but the smoke's there. That's going to keep him guessing. And Kenny S, where is Kenny? He's just boosting someone up by ramp. So he's going to back away now. He's done that, so job done for him. He can start putting that AWP into play, but that is big. Magic's finding 2 out of nowhere. That's opened up a huge opportunity now.
And Shox in a position, well, it's going to be a one and done, to be fair, if it gets dropped on. Doesn't quite go for that no-scope. And G2, as soon as North able to buy up some decent weapons, they're crumbling one after another. 2 AWPs brought up in this round for G2, and they only won just the 3. So, yeah, decent enough money to buy them, but not enough to survive if they... if they get crushed in this round, and Shox is trying to stave that off as best he can. But a 1v4, only an AWP to work with. Now, talk to me about this line, because G2 buy up 2 AWPs. There's no interest for them to try and contest outer, so North can access the lower part of the site. They can access their B site pretty comfortably. Are you still okay with double AWP there, or wouldn't you rather contest outside or play some arm's length CS?
I think we should ask Shox that.
Yeah, perhaps.
I think we should ask as well why he's picking the AWP up over Kenny S on this. Could have dropped him out. I'm not sure if maybe he had a better spawn, possibly. But it looks like KGB's going straight for the fight against Shox here, and this could be fun, and it is for Shox. Connects perfectly well towards KGB, and that's the start you're going to be hoping for. They can recover the AWP, but they need 2 smokes there. And Magisk again, claiming 2. Apex and Body getting destroyed. Playing on the hut, but Shox is the raid boss. He's the final member of G2 to be really trying to hold on towards that upper bomb side. But down to 3, it's going to be tough.
NBK. Spot, it's pretty hard to check. It's a hard angle to see. It requires a boost up in most cases. In fact, all of them, but it works out. Now AZ does have options, but the bomb is a long way away from him. Back towards even radio, if I'm not mistaken. Shox is in position, but AZ takes the pick. Shox not quite connecting on that one, and now shot towards Rafters. He gets it. Now it's a 1v1. NBK, full health, 2 flashes to his name. He has better positioning. It should be done, but North making it costly.
Yeah, the money's going to be... Kind of on that edge.
This is weird money.
You've got 3.8 for Apex. They can spread the wealth. They can still get a buyout. but they're getting to that point where it's like, it's not perfect, it's not ideal, and you kind of almost feel for North in a way because they didn't know of MBK's positioning on the boost, weren't able to check it. It was just purely not going to happen, and you can see Magic's trying to turn that one around so well, and still having so much power towards upper, even though they lost out on that first player of Cajun B, is quite impressive. But onto 3 rifles now, 2 Tech 9s, still can make something happen with, but the main man for me is Shox right now. He is putting on a bit of a display, let's put it that way, but
Again,
so is
Magisk.
Magisk. He is so potent at doing this.
And he's facing first in towards upper every time, open the door and banging out the first person to show. Last round it was 2 people through smoke, no less. Good start for him. Rubino used to be the orchestrator of a couple of that kind of play as well for North back when he was in the team, that real aggression onto sites like Cobblestone and the like. But Magisk almost giving an upgrade in that regard.
This is great. They know the Shox have been a really quick rotate towards that lower side of things, and they've got control room control, so they can sit there and kind of deny anyone playing back into this. Like Molly completely denying Kenny any sort of play further. Config going to sit towards Dark, but where's the bomb? Now it's planted. Now we see this 3v4 retake attempt from G2. Going to be tough if they don't get a quick kill coming in pretty soon. They've got the kill on Kenny, so timing isn't a huge problem. They're losing out HP, and Config going to make it worse. Body going down means this looks impossible, and it's time to back away.
There's just an impressive fluidity about the way that North are playing this map through. Kenny S in trouble. Tries to go for the point blank and gives his AWP up to MSL. With glee, he takes it.
And now the breakpoint comes in. North were on the cusp of being able to break their money for quite some time. They've had these close back and forth rounds, of course, and now it's broken. This is where you can see T-Sides really starting to run with it. We see Astralis being so good at that. One of the teams that I personally feel their T-Sides are just phenomenal at the moment. Yet to see them fully struggling to deal with anything. Once they get control of the economy and they can just run it, they do. Now, I'm wondering if North have that sort of, I guess, power to their play. We'll find out pretty soon, I can imagine, in the next couple of moments. And G2, how are you going to turn this one around? Shox can certainly achieve some obscene things in these sort of rounds. So, you know, I never write them out, but it shouldn't happen.
And look at this complete paradigm shift for North in this round. No aggression towards upper, playing to receive.
And I wonder if we're going to see, you know, that late upper hit. You know, Chad pointed out on the desk, it's something they can go to. AZ's getting so much room towards outer, though. This could change things up. But Shox is occasionally checking on it, so we'll see what they go for. Keep your eyes on North. They have that full utility play, so you might as well use it all. There's no need to kind of risk anything. Cajun B going to find Apex, a beautiful start.
I think Cajun was waiting for someone to come through door as well. He sat there from the start of the round. So North playing this completely differently. Full understanding of G2 esports' economy.
Where's AZ right now? How far did he get? I think he's actually down in towards the lower side almost. So this could spur on the rest of North to try and join him, or maybe he can try and find room towards ramp, possibly. He's a bit of the thorn in the side now for G2 because he's kind of behind enemy lines, isn't he?
And AZ's had the scenic tour of the Cedar Creek plant in this round, by the way. He went smokeless towards Secret, now under. A lot of information given over to North now about exactly where the weak points are going to be able to hit here. G2 have invested heavily in an upper setup here. They've stacked it, and they're not going to be able to stop this plant.
Yeah, AZ just did the perfect scouting work then. Absolutely perfect. Just found the room, took his time, was careful, and North just followed the route that he kind of trailblazed. But the problem now is Kenny's not going to miss the shot. And here comes Kenny again.
MSL.
Oh, timing on this. First I was like, all right, I'm just going to have to do this. Okay. Oh, that's not fun. And now Kenny comes out. Look at the time. You're down to 9 seconds. Indecision is the problem, and he couldn't commit to either. And now G2 are tearing them apart. This is a very disappointing round for North.
And you can see MSL just playing Danish roulette there. There's no one to cover his angle. He thinks he's safe for the smoke. But Kenny S just moves out the side and has a shot with the Desert Eagle, you know, and pressures him down so hard. North had everything. They had the economy, they had the utility, they had the information, they had the players. But G2, sometimes fortune favours the bold.
North had players up, but no one was watching MSL's push, which is kind of surprising that he was kind of left to deal with that and just hope that no one came through contamination, which is, it kind of sucks for him. I'm not going to lie, you're going to be frustrated with that one. And now you've got the hero rifle towards Magis to keep you the money even, I can imagine. G2 are back in the runs with this, though, because they've got, you know, they were able to stave off the wolves at the door so well with their money. This is the angle that Magis has been punishing G2 with so often, and this time Apex has changed. He's adapted, and he comes out with a victory on that.
For whatever reason, Cajun B was just trying to get a few shots towards Shox there despite the smoke, and he took a lot of damage. Didn't trade any of his own, but Config had found Apex earlier on, now in lower with the Desert Eagle. AK swings through as MSL actually to help him out there. MBK down. Now Shox going to be pressured a little bit more. Config in midair tries to land a shot. It's not going to be enough, and now Shox starting to put his seal of approval over this side at the very least. Pushing forward. Received by another AK from AZ. It's 2v2 and the bomb is down.
All right, Kenny. Oh, AZ's found AZ. Just didn't leave. What? What? Did he think he killed him? And he was expecting KGB to there to just trade him out, but now Body's left in this strange 1v1. Has no out. Oh, this is it. This is done. KGB played it so well. Just waiting in the vents. It's a little unorthodox and very weird then from Body to snap so quickly, but I guess
still
he
convinced
thought the kill. Yeah,
there was another
exactly.
contamination.
Yeah, that
the
was
way
weird,
he threw that smoke, you know, he could have smoked the side itself and then moved away if he didn't quite know where anyone would come from, try and get a sound cue or something. But you can see he thinks someone's there. Otherwise, he'd smoke his feet.
All right, but this has opened up a chance. What are these back and forth rounds, Mitch?
It's just messy. It's the late round executions that are where teams are winning and losing. In fact, both of them.
Oh, is this gonna be a quick hit? I like this. I like this a lot. Let's see if this works out. It's kind of it's dangerous to play this game, but Magisk is such a master at hitting the upper bomb site. He's so good at it.
Just like Austin Powers, his middle name is Danger. We're more than happy to smoke and just go straight into that one. Again, into a relatively well brought up G2 team, but they were taken completely off guard. And Magisk is bringing that explosiveness that North really need to have these successful takes on upper.
They didn't have the mollies, they didn't have that instant stopping power to deny North going for the shocks. Just wants to warm up a little by the fire, but that's going to give away a touch of position. Body looking for an angle to play back in. On config is low, so it's very possible they can play this one off now. And the question is, where is Magisk? He is the one to save the day here, if anyone, and he's waiting up for Bomb. He runs out of bullets. He runs out of options, but time is ticking, and they know they don't have this. They do not have a kit.
Yeah, nicely drawn out there, my Magisk there. No kit despite the arsenal on G2. It's going to be another North round coming up there, and we see sometimes the conundrum faced by that individual player playing Rafters. It was talked about earlier on, and Sponge sort of illustrated it on how North like to hit that site. There are so many angles that North force you to cover with 4 players there, and you can see now Magisk had his own situation there where he had to go, okay, there's so many people facing right now. I'm in a dangerous position against so many.
And do you know what the other good thing is? That Magisk is on my fantasy team.
Oh, God.
Yes. So is config, so I've got a lot riding on this game. Oh, lordy.
Yeah, we've done it. Two North players is not a bad investment.
No, but talking of investment, only one molly, and you can see what the problem is. They're not stopping this North. They're so good at this. I'm a big fan of this, right? The Danes seem to have this down, that quick upper hit. If they know the other side is going to be even just slightly off that perfect purchase, they punish it so well. You look at Astralis, they do it down to a T. North has the same thing.
And there's an element of risk to what Magisk is having to do here, because he has to smoke Annex, right, as soon as he walks in. So sometimes you can be at risk of being caught with a grenade in your hand if the player in Annex is actually standing a little bit closer to the door. We've seen that happen before. But Magisk faces down after he throws the smoke and gets the kill. Now, Shocks again, it's just a save here. He's going to upgrade his weapon. But this is excellent for North. Excellent. The strength of their hits on that upper side is forcing G2 to save with 2, and we might even see 3 players saves at some stage. It's so hard to retake once the Ts have Rafter control.
Shame that AZ goes down. That would have been nice for them to keep 3 alive. But for North, they're getting to the swing of it, it feels. And for G2, money becomes a big problem. Now, we saw Kenny. The thing is that Shocks actually had a bigger performance with that AWP not too many rounds ago. We saw the power that he came through with and what he provided towards denying those upper hits. A couple through smoke, just retained that positioning. They've been able to kind of pull together this buy, but this is very, very much on the cusp of losing that money. Got, a Galil there for... A Galil? A UMP even, should I say, for MBK. I should be used to saying that by now. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on G2's hold yet. We don't know that much about them on this map, so the T side could be something to look at, but at the moment, it looks like they're on that very fine line of losing out on this.
And this is the other side of North's Nuke coin. This is the slower play. This is the more, I guess, reactive play. We see them start fairly slow. They're not trying to, get any molly executes on towards your hut or anything like that. They're purely waiting for G2 to present themselves. KGB got the first kill on a round earlier on there, but MBK's going to catch now. They're going to try and get a trade, but he gets 2, making it very costly for North here. A third, no, won't be forthcoming. It's going to be MSL to get it, but the rest of his team's already been decimated. It's 2v4.
MBK just won that round for G2. I don't know if he'd been watching the demos, knowing that they like to take that kind of radio room control and work their way back towards lobby and then do the hits off the back of it, but he read that timing so well and just made that brave play. Now, Kenny going to close out on Cage and B, and it's just left MSL alive. Now, he's on 5 HP. He's had a swing up in performance, but I don't know if you can call it a 1v3 swing up in performance. There's Kenny, just to finish it off. And G2, pull it back in line. You can thank MBK for that one. Even with just that UMP, he does the work.
A less aggressive opening to the round means that North were eventually sort of choked out of opportunities there. Maybe they even thought that G2 wouldn't be coming in with a full arsenal as they did. But that fast hit on towards upper is just so successful. So
Nice,
Don't really have the tools to go for it this time, but the Kraken has been unleashed.
Yeah, what do you mean they don't have the tools? They've got the Kraken, Mitch. That's all you need.
I'll believe when I see it.
Look, he's essentially JW on Cobble right now.
These are shorter smoke he throws now.
Yeah.
It's not towards Annex because he wants to vent dive.
It's the same one that Dupree does. The Australis guys do the same sort of control, same sort of players coming to this. And this is fine for the shotgun as well. If it just sits in these vents, you're pretty good. This looks like the split towards lower. They got the kind of line of smoke as well to trail their way out, but I'm not sure if North are going to be able to commit to this. The smoke's already dissipated to a degree. They had to re-smoke it, so they've changed up. They're going to hit upper,
Oh, I like it.
coming in from outside. But the problem is there's a player by the old vent, and I think that's Apex. And yeah, look at him just really destroying this. And now Magisk. All right, the shotgun was useful in the vents for about 20 seconds. Now, not so much so.
When you switch approaches and want to go aggressive on upper and you're in vents with obviously a sawn-off shotgun, it's not always great. Kudos to Apex, though, for that quick two-piece. That would have made it a lot harder for North to actually get running because we did see the push from Cajun, I think. With the Tech 9, it enabled him to get 2 kills, so a matter of timing there. 47 seconds in the round. And for Magisk, there's no real reason not to try for this. Again, looking for players that might just be waiting on the periphery. The bomb is a long way away, closer towards Annex, just near the vent when Magisk dived earlier. He's taking the long way around.
Just trying to find a way to be relevant, especially with this. Kenny, I guess. No, there we go. Kenny's fine. Of course, he's holding the close-up angle against the sawed-off. He doesn't know it, but...
Yeah, I mean, and how is Magisk going to know to shoulder peek every
exactly.
second quarter when Kenny's going to be waiting?
You can't be second-guessing yourself the whole way. So this one, just going to be North on the Pistolas. Nothing more, nothing less. Maybe an upgrade to like a P250 or a Deagle or so. But no, they're going to be pretty chill. And this is one of the most money is KGB, so he's probably looking towards the AWP more than anything. And see, Apex knows what's going on. He's going to go on the farming machine.
And for North here, you know, in terms of how they're saving their money, they're probably not too concerned about picking up an AWP. They haven't been really working out of much except for one round. They'd like to hit with 5 AKs if they can get the money. Speaking of money, Apex trying to make some of his own. 1 kill comes out with an MP7 and shocks through the door to claim MSL. It's going to be very, very hard for North to make any inroads here. But Shocks tries to face there with the USP and is not successful. It's going to have to be a messy spray down for Body to finish the round off here. So North, another round for them in the half will be excellent. And 2 would be a jackpot. Yeah. Which is obviously possible here. So 5 AKs,
Shocks,
no one cares about an AWP.
Shocks for a second had the AWP then. I think, I guess he's got quite a nice spawn for if he wants to maybe take it somewhere. Nothing massive. It's not like you have a massive advantage going for it, but he's going to be running that just on the M4, no utility. So what is the plan with Shocks here? What is he going to do? Is he going aggressive somewhere, or can we check on Shocks, see what he's up to?
Shorter smoke from Magisk
he
there
is
as well.
probably going to go slightly aggressive, I can imagine, because...
And you can bait a vent dive. You can try and imply a vent dive by throwing the smoke short like Magisk did then and backing away. So, you know, Shocks had to go down and check that just in case he was going to be lurking.
Look at that flash. It's so well set. Shocks could come around here and catch them all out. He just a second too late on it, which is a shame, but really nice idea. And they've seen the whole picture now. North's game plan has been unraveled. Now, G2 can make an early call, but are the rotates going to be good enough to be able to really hinder this before it even begins?
Depends on North's setup here over towards lower. If they can actually check more of these atriums, these entries, then they'll be fine. Door open, Config doesn't see a lot on the side. It's all happening above him there. And MPK going to be able to use the height advantage to get himself 2. Cajun responds and evens the score, but the bomb is loose on the site. There needs to be challenges made to recover it, and now the 1v1. Magisk on his way through ramp room finds NBK. Smoke preventing him from seeing his assailant, and good timing for Body getting lower just before the smoke clears.
Ring of roses. We go round.
I like
and
Body
round.
in this.
Body, not be able to see it unless he... Yeah, Magisk actually might just walk into this. This could be the problem. Who sees him first? And it's Magisk. He just turns around, he hears the shots, and it's his. Those sort of situations, I guess, is, you know, pick the safest bet you can, stick to it, and hope it works out for you. But yeah, at the end of the day, Magisk gets one on the board now for North.
Yeah, and look, no plant there for North, which means that they don't have that extra little bit of money that might have, you know, allowed them to go up a little bit. I mean, at least maybe have meant the Config could have a rifle instead of just the Tech 9. But this is still good for North, especially the way they want to play towards upper, especially lends itself to more mobility in their weapons, so no dramas. Another round for them, and like I said, will be absolutely sick.
Magisk almost fluffing the smoke there. Kenny does have the AWP though, so trying to find somewhere where he can utilize it on this map. The line of smoke outside has been there every single time though. North aren't going to miss that and not going to mess it up. So Kenny gonna have to try and be relevant elsewhere on the map now, find another way to play himself back into this, because you know what's gonna be happening. Magic's gonna be down the vents, the 4 others are gonna be working their way through those lower halls, checking towards control room, Config doing the same thing. It's rinse and repeat, and it works. Well, it's worked so far. This time G2 are gonna play clean retake, it seems like. Just give them the lower bomb site and play back into this, because otherwise, it's going to be an uphill struggle. That's not ideal. MSL already finding a kill towards one is brilliant. Now it's a 5v4. Now they can get these nice after plants, not be too worried. I think Magic's pretty good at the first point of contact. He gets one and trades it out, but a good reply from Cajun B. But there's Kenny, and this is back on now, but
Just
Kenny
body.
going down is an issue. It's just down to body, but body's been good in these situations.
1v2. One player just across the silo from Config. You should have heard, but he dropped down on his head. He is going to finish it off there. The Tech9 board into that round was just enough. And North get the best possible situation from 5 rounds and get the last 2 of the half to make it far more competitive. And now it must be G2, not only to reciprocate, but to exceed in the second half. We'll be back with that in just a moment. A very respectable first half from North, off the back of what their performance in Katowice was pretty impressive, but it's time for online CS, and so far it's a good T-side for them here on Nuke, and G2 Esports are going to be under pressure to try and show what they've been working on in the interim.
G2 are a very capable side. No one going to dispute that for a second. Incredible potential. You saw glimmers of it there with Shocks coming in on moments. You saw Body having some nice performances mid-round. MBK turning the tides when they actually push towards ramp as well. So there are the elements in the right place. Now they need to put them on the board on the T side. A close game to start with though, but you know what's going to happen. If North get those first 3, they get that money building, there's going to be a problem. G2, if they can stop it now, it'll be perfect.
And we almost saw G2 switch to a bit more of a passive CT side towards the end of that last half, just almost playing for a complete retake on both sides, very passive positions on upper. So now might be time to just to get the engines revving a little bit and try and put some rounds up here to start with on the T side. Pistol now, straight towards the unit. We'll see what North has set up here.
G2 not a single smoke, flash or anything. It's full armor, so maybe the Glock train's coming out and Config fancies to do what Shocks did to him, but look at the difference. Shocks is ready and waiting, but doesn't matter. Heads will roll. Cajun B manages find more, and Apex is wondering where the hell his team went, but he will try and claw some people back here. That's 2 for him already.
And a decent pool of health to work with, and the bomb at his feet is a decent omen for Apex. And he's still got 30 bullets, so that's also a good sign. Always a concern when you're running a USP. He's getting picked apart a little bit here. Config playing with him.
Just buying time as well. At least they know where he's going. Apex is doing wonders though. 3 kills, still decent HP as well, 48. Gonna fake it out, making sure no one's too close. I think he's just spotted MSL though. He has, and now it gets a little bit worrying. You wonder where AZ is. Okay, what's the position I want to fight out of. Probably could be Vents, I can imagine. Now Apex! I almost believed then. If one of those shots had hit that crisp little headshot sound that you hear every now and then, it could have been on, but not to be. 3 kills though, respectable. Keeping North humble, gonna remind them they can't just do what they want. Good start for them though, leaving it just down to Apex, but you know, it was controlled in the end. So we're back all even. Let's look at the investment here from North. So 2 players going straight on the mollies, the UMPs. We've got a rifle on Cajun B, and the rest just trying to kind of even the odds. And the Tech-9 purchase on the other side, again, 0 smokes, flashes, or anything to play with, so they're just going in dry.
I do want to see if the G2 are going to bring some of the blistering pace. Again, I understand that this is you know, more of that forced pistol round, so shouldn't be expecting too much from them. But if they bring the pace that North managed to on upper, it might be able to unseat the Danes. But at this stage, Magistic's going to be content to sit behind smokes after another. G2 said, no, we're not going to wait for one more. Going to push forward. Magistic is forced to pay dearly for that 1 kill, but he buys a little bit more time. Tries to back away, but Bodily catches him just as he tries to pivot. And now North have to respond to this.
Yeah, Apex has got himself a rifle. Kenny's going to find the vent control, and now there's a problem. North are dwindling in numbers, but Config and AZ aren't going to let it slip too far away. But you've still got Shox, you've still got Kenny. And should I make that just Shox? He's a big player, and he can come up with moments like that, but not in this situation. Bombs get defused. Good retake from North. They're keeping 3 alive. They can recover the other rifle if they need to. It was only a FAMA, so I guess UMPs are still just as good at this point. So, debatable, obviously, if you like CSGO balance.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big conversation, obviously, around that and around some pistols at the moment. But the mobility that you get with UMP and the penetration that it gives you, especially at the short range you're often employed in, makes it quite the choice for people strapped for cash and still want to have an impact on the round. Now, for G2, 2 kills, a bomb plant, could be a lot worse, but the thing is, North are eking out a lot more than that. And this is a dead giveaway. If North don't see any smokes early in this round, they know that G2 are probably going to try and execute on inner or try and drop in a ramp room.
All right, Apex has got the hero rifle, so he's the one to wonder where he's going. But yeah, I don't know how they intend to get through Nuke without any form of anything to play with to kind of, I guess, cut the map how they want it to be. You see, this is just be easy picking, surely, for North. They shouldn't be peeking into it too much. And now the surprise is there. Okay, they know that Apex has a rifle. Now, KGB is going to see the angle of him running back, so he might try and encroach, but Apex is actually going for a slow walk back too towards T-Red, so that could catch out KGB. He'll be expected to be further than he is. Got to be a little bit careful, and you've got to wonder where Body and Shox are actually going to go here. I guess they're just going to allow Apex as much room to work as they can.
I like this from Apex, though. He makes the 1 peek, sees his opponent back away, and then says, right, I'm going to take some real estate here, move further down towards Secret, but doesn't drop into there. He's actually in the warehouse right now, and that allows him to actually hit the flank on towards Cajun B off screen, who was sitting up on the rafters. Says goodbye. Apex doesn't just drop straight down. Just trying to vary his pace of play a little bit.
Yeah, it was a wake-up call for North as well to kind of regain control into this round, because it started getting a little bit problematic then. When you're down to that 3v3, you don't have that information, but I like the double push towards Hut to just try and claim back some real estate. You're down to Shox being last alive, so never ride it out, but at the end of the day, the high ground's covered by North, and MSL was playing up on those rafters, so he was always going to be okay. And North kind of stem the bleeding, and they deny this build-up. And again, the money's still so shoddy for G2.
Look, G2
I don't like the way they're playing this out so far.
They're buying the 3rd instead of maybe, you know, as some teams have chosen to, just take a full eco round. And they fancy and they value just having rifles over that utility. Now they can have a bit of both, but it's still not great. By this point, you want to have, you know, pretty much be armed to the teeth here and need to start bringing rounds back, especially on the T side. But
this is the big round, right? This is the one that they're meant to be able to make the impact and kind of slowly chip away at North's economy. They built up through the first 4 of this half. So I'm just a little uncertain, but they've got great control towards outside, so a bit of a pinch could be coming in, which could be problematic, but AZ's got a nice angle. He did have support, but they actually fall by the wayside, but he's doing so well here. Back and forth we go, but it's left to end of 2v2 now. MSL has to come into play.
Behind the silos right now he was, and Magistic actually just backing away through Squeaky. Gets just a glimpse of Genny, and that's enough. But during the furor, the fire, and the flames, it was Shox that dropped down in towards lower for a cheeky bomb plant. Not always the best room to sit in. Again, if he wants to try and play for time or anything like that, it's going to be quite difficult. And even, he actually can't see the bomb defuser. I think it'd be hard to see him with the bomb directly behind the silo, but he's got that molly to try and deny.
I think they just put out a smoke as well. Now,
well, that's ballsy.
Here we go. Early smoke came in just in case this was a possibility in Shox. Yeah, it's not going to happen for him. He's going to have to sit in there and wait this one out. He actually might be able to keep hold of the rifle. He does. So a bomb plant is good for them, though. It gives them a little bit to play with.
Yeah, you have to wonder about Shox's decision-making there. I think he plants in the safest spot possible, but where he plants the bomb doesn't actually allow him to interfere directly with the defuse from that position in Toxic. But still, bomb plant. And we're talking about G2 struggling to get quite enough money to give them the full suite of utility. They come into this round with plenty of smokes to work with, so they want to go for outer. We do have 3 players going there now. That wall's going to come up. Config, though, wants to be the spanner in the works.
And we know he likes to do this. MSL as well, both like to push towards this outside T-red area, but Config is going to be behind enemy lines, and just in between them both. KennyS was still slightly further back, as was MBK. They didn't quite push up with all those smokes going down, and now Shox is just a real spearhead for G2 here, finding opportunities that aren't often gifted to you.
2 players now for North in the lower side. KennyS can't do much about that one. MSL catches in there. Oh, a team Molotov, though. Needs to be careful. Maybe not even great communication there, as MSL was the only one in vents at the time that was thrown. Now, 2v1. Magisk managed to catch MBK on the site. Shox heads into the lower levels, but the bomb's a long way away from him. Still gets himself in that 1v1.
That bomb is in a really awkward spot. And AZ, let's see how you play this. You've got the 1v1, you have a little touch of utility, you've got...
Does he know where the bomb is?
I think someone must have seen it in the vents at some point, but they don't know if Shox has picked it up since then. So AZ's going to be left kind of guessing at this point, and you might just put your eggs in one basket and be like, all right, I'm just going to hold low, I can rotate up through vents if I fancy it. And Shox is waiting to see if AZ's going hunting for anything, if AZ's going to go looking for information. Now, that actually buys AZ time, but it also kind of puts doubt into your mind. Is he actually going lower? And we'll see if Shox makes any form of sound. This could be vital. And AZ going to be listening out for this now. Shox, if he drops to that site,
he's got a safe angle, to be honest.
There we go. This is perfect. AZ, there we are. Nicely done from AZ. Not second-guessing himself, holding the angle and staying calm.
And it's not only the presence of AZ that Shox is waiting for. I mean, we'll have a look at this Rafter play earlier on here. And this is a bit of a staggered push for G2 on towards upper. Not as explosive as we saw earlier on from North. And you can see relatively comfortable there for control to be exercised from the Rafters if he keeps safe. Now, 21st round coming up. And G2, again, still able to buy into this, but again, really lacking utility. Kenny, that's what they want, though. Quick face, minimal damage taken from the Molotov there, so definitely worthwhile. And AZ is cut very short. There is still an AWP on the side of North. That's in KGB's hands, but he's watching outer, and now G2 are going to filter in onto upper.
Yeah, actually, MSL's in a nice spot to find body. You can see Kenny having to pay credence towards that for a little bit of time, but Apex found MSL, so now that threat's removed, and the adjustment begins. KGB positions to be noted by, you can see the utility being put out, and Magic's finding Shox is big. That's brought back to an even situation now. This becomes quite hard to hold for G2, but with Kenny in this spot, it denies KGB the play in, and there's MBK finding Config. Nicely done in the end. Even though they had so little utility to make a play with, they just brute forced their way through it, and that's broken North's money. This is where G2 can bring back these rounds.
Yeah, it's quite astonishing there. One round, one is all it takes for G2 to break North there. We've gone to 1v1s in probably 4 of the last 5 rounds, or close to that there. And I wonder if North maybe would be better off, instead of putting the rifle out towards outer, just try and challenge KennyS on that first peek as the door opens from Annex. But we'll see if that's going to be an addition they make later on. For now, though, they don't have a lot to work with. 5-7, there's a scout there. And MBK is cut short very rapidly. AZ with aggressive push into a Squeaky as well. And this is that CT-sided aggression here from North. That'll make it hard for G2 to get a foothold. And Apex at least finds Cage, and that's the scout down.
But Apex took a tag, so that plays in the pistols again. That becomes a little problematic, but it's about where they take this bomb, and that's when the MAC-10 might come into play that we just saw there. If they actually go towards Secret, then maybe there's a bit of play, but Body and Apex don't seem to have that in mind, so Kenny's the one to be curious about here. You can see AZ just down below, so I'm not sure what his game plan is here. I'm looking towards Kenny to see if he's going to actually commit to this or back away towards upper. Because it's, you're depending on the others to find the information, and you just have to kind of build off the back of it. But a 3v3, 58 seconds left. There's a lot of ground to cover here for G2.
Kenny waiting just to see if North want to play close angles, just at the opening from Secret. Again, that lower site can definitely have a few opportunities for players on pistols or less than ideal arsenal. And AZ with the MAC-10 probably the first to receive this. So a 1-for-1 here will be excellent for him. Apex is very low, but he's at the back of the pack here as well. Headshot comes in, 3 kills for AZ. He catches G2 just as right, try and push towards. And North, they lose that 1 round, their economy gets broken. But it doesn't matter what they're using, apparently. It's how they're playing it through, and the pause comes through. Again, not sure why. Perhaps G2 just need to take a breather.
Oh, AZ. Why aren't you in my fantasy team? Look at that. The MAC-10 hiding in the corner. I expected 1 to come through from that.
If you get a trade, you're happy with that.
Yeah, you're like, all right, that's not bad. But 3 kills. If you're G2, I would be depressed. That's those moments you just say that, like, all right, guys.
Especially, you know,
Good job. Good
we talk
job.
about UMP being good. It's good because it cuts through armor quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Mac 10, not so much.
No.
Got to be very close.
Yeah, and the rate of fire is pretty decent on the Mac 10, I guess, but it's just ridiculous. Do we get to watch that again? Yeah, look at this. And I guess like they did want to shoot each other in the back of the head as well, but so the first one I was like, okay, that's fair. And oh god, the rest.
And they're not headshot kills, by the way. That wasn't what they were. Just got completely slammed.
Yeah, got bodied. All right, G2 now going to buy what they can. They're back into this game though, so G2 showing that they do certainly have some bite to their bark, but we are live, so we can go back to spectating the players here, which would be lovely. And Cajun B can be watching from outer, and the smokes are up. G2 trying to forge their own path towards maybe that blow of bomb site, or just going to split towards upper. Shocks.
When one of the vent dive, he
there it
almost
is.
walked into Annex there.
Yeah.
That would have been really awkward. That's wouldn't exactly have been in Kansas anymore, but still, on the lower levels, it's G2 starting to make some progress. Config was caught out. Now straight in towards the vents for G2. Should be expecting a drop fairly soon. MSL is just above. And I don't know if you want to jump in there, really. It's the chimney sweep's worst nightmare, but MSL goes for it anyway. Takes a little bit of damage, but favors it in terms of getting to the site nice and quickly. 2v4.
Yeah, this retake's looking tricky though. There's still 3 players alive, 2 of them have weaponry, but MSL
that's
just
a blunder.
leaps in. But the fine line between brave and stupid, right? Fine line. Body gonna stem the bleeding and get G2 another shot. They're just clawing back on those very, very tricky moments. And look at the money again. North have never fully stabilized their economy here. They've been playing on life's edge. We saw a couple of rounds, of course, being picked up in these situations with that Mac 10 buy, for example. But it hasn't looked dominant yet from North. They are still in the lead, though, and G2 have a good shot here.
And this is something for those at home, in fact, if you do have those string of rounds where you are, maybe losing, 5, 6 in a row, but if you're doing economic damage, you can still break back so easily. Magisk has to do it with nothing but a deagle here as well. He gets his first, now hoping for more, but no, G2 are there in numbers and in force. Quick overwhelm. On the other side of that one, AZ comes through. It's the scout again doing its work. Apex already tagged up from the earlier firefight, and he falls.
What are these rounds? How are North getting advantages in these? Okay, bombs down. Please, G2, stabilize. No, MSL, what is that shot? MBK gets absolutely decimated. And Alkinius in the 1v3, he's got the bomb planted for him, I guess. That's something, but 3 players to find 3 different angles, but he's found the first step.
Kit.
And he's gonna have to find more. Kenius holding this one together, and it's down to Cajun B now. Nothing to work with but a P250. And surely Kenny's gonna do it again?
It's fine. He has like 10 seconds, so he just needs to... Okay, Kenny. I do think KGB is running out of time here, though, as well. He realizes that, so... Kenny happy enough stalling him out, doesn't really need to connect the shot because he knows it's keeping Cajun honest and moving him off the bomb. So that is going to be a G2 esports round coming in now. They can actually start to develop a bit of an economy off the back of this. And they have done so, generally speaking. A lot of players above 6K. And around where North were not able to make much bank.
Yeah, no, it was double eco territory, so they might just get a couple of pistols down to like 2.7, maybe 2.5 at lowest, but they'll just stick on what they have here. Cajun B can be the one to do anything, or he's the only one with the rifle on that CT side, so he's the one looking for maybe creating chances. And G2 have been really exploiting that lower bomb site, so maybe you can make a fast play through ramp, try and catch a little bit of the flank, almost get around the back of them. That's certainly a real viable option. For G2, they're doing what we kind of have grown to expect from them, kind of hitting that lower bomb site. They've set a bit of pattern, but they can always kind of divert from that route as well. They could easily switch up and just kind of work the outer yard and then spin around. But here's Cajun B trying to find the angle, and MBK read that really well.
And that's that rifle down now as well. It's a slightly off angle that MBK was holding. I think it was sat up on the balustrade, actually. So a little bit difficult to read into for North, and yeah, that's the rifle gone for them at this stage. Again, working outer when your opponent doesn't have an AWP does make it easy to hit that B side, and that's why North are actually shoring things up here towards Signal a little bit more. But MBK reads this well and knows he's going to be receiving a little bit of aggression from North, and now only with 2 left here. The Danes, dire straits for them. It's Magisk on upper with the USP and nothing else.
Funny enough, I think this will be the round for G2, you know? I'm going to make a very bold prediction there, Mitch.
Well, at least you're making predictions. The desk won't do it. They get upset when you ask them to.
No, Matt will, but no one wants Matt's prediction. That's the problem, you know?
But you know what? He gives it anyway, and that's all that matters.
You can't blame Matt for trying. Kenny, we didn't see it, don't worry. We were definitely not spectating you in that. Magic will go down. So, When's the interesting round coming in now? This is where fun begins. This is where I start to actually turn my attention towards what North can do to stop this, because G2 have brought the game back. They're starting to look a little bit better. They're starting to build up their money. You've got 9.2k on Kenny S. You've got Shock sitting on 5k. You've got 5 on Body. They've got that little bit of a buffer, whereas North, they're playing it to the line. They're playing to the wire. They're doing that dangerous, you know, see how much money I can take out of an ATM before it says denied. So, Cajun B, having a little peek, Config doing what he likes to do. Get up close, get personal, see if he can unravel the plan that G2 are going to bring.
He's tried this once already. It's definitely a tactic in the North wheelhouse. But last time Config was caught out because G2 was staggered in 2 groups of 2 and he popped out of the smoke in the middle of them and got shot in the back. But this time G2 don't opt to make much use of Outer there, which means we should see the rotation back from Cajun B with the AWP. Should be watching this door, hopefully. It'll be MSL now playing it and dicing with death here. Body moves out into the open, though. Instead of just trying to deal with MSL, he ferrets himself away in the corner. Now Kenny S is forced to wait, and that's enough time for Config to get around the backside. He took a long walk around the side, and it's paid off so far. Straight into hunting spots, Apex immediately. The bomb is loose, and Shock's it on top of it. And that will be the round. North, again, you're right, playing it close. Didn't have much of an economy to build on. G2 probably can buy up for most of the rest of this game of regulation time. So North still need to dot their I's and cross their T's.
Yeah, for North, keeping 4 alive is really important as well. They needed every kind of gun they had so they can then supplement it with everything they need to stop if a quick hit comes out or something, whatever G2 are planning. That's what they needed that for. So we'll see if Shox goes something fast here. He does like to have a little look through Squeaky as well. No one nading out the door, but straight away looking towards this, seeing if anyone's there. Not going to spot anything, but now the next piece of the play, now Ace's actually joined out there with Config, so this is a new crossfire. The problem is that Config could be in trouble, and no, he just outdoes MBK. Going to get the rifle, because why not go for those one taps, get the AK going for him, but Kenny S is up there, so you've got to be a little bit careful, but he can't really back away from this. It's down to the other players from North to make the most of what Config can bring, either trading off him, or being able to just kind of keep him safe.
There's an element of risk to putting 2 players towards out of there when you've got 2 of the T's up on the silo, but it pays off for North. They stay safe and alive. And this round's looking pretty darn good for them at this stage. Shox holds the angle. Would require a slight flick to catch Magisk if he does peek from that right side. But we know what the man can do. G2 are going to have to get to lower the hard way, Lauren. And good timing for Magisk there. Easy cleanup. Kenny S with the AWP now, the last man, 1v5. And it's a very much unscathed lineup of North here. Just going to dig in and wait for Kenny to reveal himself. And look at this. They've got presence all over the map. This is that early round, 2-man stack towards Outer. North had control of the entire perimeter of Nuke, and they can work their way in and finish the round.
Yeah, match paused. Maybe time for just G2 to have a quick chat as to like what they can do. Yeah.
I misspoke. I honestly thought that they'd still be comfortable. They might have made a really relatively large investment in the previous round.
Well, the problem is they didn't make much impact as well. Even the last 2 rounds, really. There's been like 4 alive for North in the one prior to this that they just won. So they haven't really been making the funds. The bomb plants haven't been coming in as much anymore because, you know, they were starting to really run away with that lower bomb site. They were starting to really get some presence down there to have some sort of consistency to it. Now that's not the case. So
this is really interesting as well because Kenny could have dropped ostensibly like something like a, I don't know, UMP, but he actually goes for the AWP himself.
Okay.
No helmet. So obviously you can't see it on screen right now. I'm just giving you a bit of an update on what G2 are deciding during this pause, which I assume it is of their own design, given they're on the precipice of losing this first map.
Yeah, this is tough. Because G2 have had success hitting that low bomb site, but it starts to be, there's been that aggression now coming out to play from Config. You saw AZ. I don't know where AZ actually was. I don't know if he was on the kind of, I guess, the CT red sort of box, or if he was playing from on the upper balcony, but there was support there for Config. So Config couldn't just, you know, wasn't just isolated. You could see this support coming out instantly. So again, it feels like North maybe has an answer now that they have a decent bit of money to back it up. This is a buy though. This is what G2 has to work with going into what could be their final round. 15-12 it's a respectable scoreline, but G2, you've got to feel if they'd be able to string a couple of those rounds together, didn't go those losses against Pistols, strange things, it could have gone better, but the molly stops the rush before it hits, and now Shox has to just hold for a second. Get an idea. Look at G2, they're all close. This might be an upper hit, and it might be coming in fast. Shox gonna actually back away, allow Apex through. Flash and nade comes in, but AZ backs away, but doesn't completely unhinge himself from this round. But the hit came in, came in well. MBK and Kenny finding those two means the bomb should be able to go down.
If they decide to hit up at it, they do need to be careful because they ought to know that there's a player up in heaven and Config. The timing there for him and MBK to butt heads just as he picks up over the ladder. That molly was intended to drop down. It didn't. It will still prevent the player from coming up the ladder. He'll have to go to the other side now and potentially have to shoot the vent out and give himself away. But North sitting back on this. No bomb plant yet from G2. NBK still trying to get in position on upper. Didn't feel necessarily safe. Oh, God, this is a gimme. Oh, surely. Okay.
That's got a little bit worrying, and KGB actually gets hit there as well. KGB's now down to 35, and he just runs in. Okay, now Magis, are you going to save the day here, or are G2 really going to pull this back to being a possible round for themselves? Magis worried now about Shox. Bomb's been planted. There's 2 on the site. Shox can now get himself towards upper. He can go towards Crows. He can do this, though, Magis. If there's anyone, and he's got a flash, he's got a nade, he could try and make a little bit of play here. What is your game plan?
Bear in mind as well that North get enough money even from a round loss here to have a decent buy in the next. But I've got to say, not bad from Shox to go for that shoulder peek through Annex. So that really outgamed Magisk. That could have been an easy pickup for Magisk. Just one bullet connecting would have been enough. And now he knows there's 3 players at large instead of just the 2. Very hard to shut down angles here. NBK presents himself, though. But Magisk has a kit, still doesn't have enough time. The exit, though, will help him greatly as G2 are trying to solidify their economy. And it won't even be that great going into the next, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I want to see the money on G2. Shox is able to stay alive, but the rest, yeah, if they had those 2 other rifles that have been so good, they could have maybe, maybe dropped a rifle or dropped something. This means that it stays problematic, but well done to G2 to stabilize, stay, I guess, keep afloat at this point. Somehow making it work. A little bit of a feed down, and Shox finding such a nice kill towards Config, who's trying to adjust through Secret and support them any way he could, but G2 just hit the brakes in that round, slowed it right down, and made it count when they really had to.
It's like a syncopated push, like, a stutter, and then they all exploded onto the side.
Ooh, but this might indicate that lower hit, or at least a tendency towards it, just finding Apex so early. But Kenny's has pushed up towards T-Red. KGB not quite watching this angle. He's looking a little bit deeper, but I think Config's coming around towards Secret now.
How do you navigate that as well if you're Kenny S? You don't have any utility to get in towards Secret.
You hope that North feed.
Config. Is he feeling charitable? Clearly not. Very patient from North. No, again, if they lose this round, it's probably overtime, given their money. That's going to hurt. Cajun B took that first pick towards outer and then backed away. And that's really annoying for G2. North are not giving them any ins in this round.
No, but Shox being damaged is a good start for them. That's the play you want down if you're North. He's the playmaker at the moment, but AZ's still on the side, still going to hold strong. And there it is, shut down in a blink of an eye. North finally closed this one out. And I think we had a nice GG being shot.
Yeah, it needs a little bit more, I don't know, whiskey, you know what I mean? A little bit more throat in this. But yeah. There it is, North again showing they know how to play around Nuke. Although G2 for the first showing in quite some time, it wasn't too bad at all. Room for improvement for sure, but still, they're going to have a chance for the rest of this season. But for now, we're going to pass it over to the desk. Moses and the crew will give us their thoughts on this game.
I heard Mitch say whiskey. Now I'm really excited. Really, really happy for this stuff.
Only beta males drink whiskey.
Well, yeah, we just see the first map there between G2 and North, a 16-13 win for North. Got a little dicey there, both halves. A little crazy.
What did you say the score was going to be?
16-13.
Did he? He doesn't actually know anything, though.
I said G2, unfortunately.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Look at
you
this
obviously
guy.
meant to say North.
That's true.
Do you know
Absolute
what's
mess.
really weird about G2 still? They're able to win the rounds they shouldn't every time. They have like the Tech 9s or the pistol buys, and they're able to pull it off when they should actually lose. And then when you see them on the gun rounds, they have all the utility and stuff they need, and then they're making these really interesting, I think interesting is a really good way of putting it, decisions. Like Kenny S jumping into the vent when they had players underneath. Had a lot of utility. I'm so confused.
Well, I mean, we can talk about one of these interesting rounds because I actually had him pull one up. This is the 4th round from the first half when G2 is on CT side. And I remember we talked about this. I mean, it's just a little bit crazy. We saw it yesterday as well, G2 loving this double op setup, going right into it on the 4th round. CT Nuke. I mean, this is something we don't often see as 2 ops on this side of the map.
Yeah, and then later in the half, they went to what I was expecting, which was Kenny S in the yard area a lot more. But just it seems like Shox is super stubborn to get that AWP up. Now, when you have a player like Kenny S on your team who is one of the best AWPers in the world, you want to give him the freedom he wants to go wherever he wants to dominate.
Well, now look at what happens here, because there's 2 entries come out, and this is why we don't often see double ops on a map like this. You just can't position yourself with an AWP well enough to recover in that kind of a situation.
Yeah, unless you're going to hit all the shots and lock it down, you have no hope of getting anything done. Being stuck in the vent with an AWP, yeah, sure, you might grab one no-scope, but you're not going to get into the round. And It's not bad.
It's a good shot.
Yeah, that's
Was
a
a good
nice shot.
shot. You get Shock sitting up close, and you got Kenny, who basically uses the opposite shotgun.
But that kind of idea, that kind of buy opened up G2 for what North does. So one of the things that North does so very well, which is from there we saw the fast-paced upper rushes come out from North, and that's just punishing that investment of economy, no utility to stop those kind of rushes.
The way that Megas like nades open Squeaky and then just runs with smoke out, like no one's going to challenge him. Just the balls on that kid is huge. Like the big Stagots, he's just launching out there. He's taking that bomb site, and he's really not afraid. He was a huge factor for them. Getting down the vent a lot, that opens up a lot of room because it forces the CTs to react. They have to either drop a player like under from the top side to chase him. The ramp guy has to follow him. The outside player potentially goes down secret. There's a few options they have because you can't just leave him down there. He's going to be able to find a way to get an opening or pester you. So that's when you need to have like your theoretical Counter-Strike up to scratch because you need to work out how you're going to react to that territory being taken away and how you're going to flush him out. And it didn't look like G2 had that sorted just yet.
Yeah, and okay, so 8-7 in the first half. That's not bad.
Not bad.
North just recovering, and their G side. We switch over. This is just G2 not really making any great progress on that other side. I mean, did we expect them to have some kind of a good T side?
Not really. I know they had a cool pistol strat way back when they smoked off Heaven, but they're one of the teams that they don't play it that much, so you don't expect them to be that innovative. And it seems that their tactics are very, very standard to the meta right now. There's nothing that they're doing that's what, Jason?
Nothing.
Okay, you're chuckling at me. I know you're jealous that I even have hair, so don't make fun of my bad hair.
Let's get off the hair train because
you're right.
You've been on it since about noon today with this guy.
Listen,
heavily.
the point I was making, if you would let me finish, is that they don't do anything overly creative. I still want to see, by the way, just in general for the meta, I want to see more teams be able to push back the ramp player, take over Turnpike, and split upper without just going outside to upper every single time. Like we're talking about how North is really good at getting to upper, and they don't even do that. I think there's more to be exposed at ramp that teams are not taking advantage of.
Yeah, I think so too. And that you have to get secret control first to force that ramp rotation and weaken that guy up. Soften him up a little bit, Matthew.
I mean, but even if you look at how teams are playing it without that, if they can't find the first pick, which means you do still have to win a duel or force him off the position, he'll drop down and they rotate a player in from Heaven, which means you're moving Heaven already, which means you're strengthening your upper take from Hut. So, or you can take outside with that. So there's lots of options just by creating that movement toward ramp, which I think more teams could utilize.
I do want to touch on one thing very quickly before we go to break. That was we saw G2. One of the things they heavily invested a lot into what seemed like bought on the second round after losing pistol, bought on the third round after losing the second round, bought on the fourth round again, and each time they had like a little bit of broken buys, like they were obviously missing critical components just because of how frequently they were buying. The only explanation for that is that they're trying to keep the economic pressure on the CT side and eventually grind that down so they can have the hard reset. It took them 6 rounds to finally break the economy. Is this a viable tactic moving forward?
Well, they did break the economy, and then there was a bit of the blunder, right, where they won a round and they lost a round, but it paid off. But there's a certain point where you either just all in or you call it quits, and this is the type of team that's just going to go all in, you know. And it actually probably works better if you don't have a lot of strategy. It's more viable if you have team play, because then you can use the lower weapons and have good chemistry and team play. So that's one of the positive things, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can recover, have a couple more positive things into the second half. Remember, at the beginning of the day, Matthew said that if G2 loses both games tonight, they will not be able to make the playoffs. He doesn't think they'll make the playoffs. So we will see if they can win this second map against North when we return from the break.